Rather keep them out of my fingers, even though that doesn't always work. And we'll just start off with a pretty common red and white spinner. This happens to be a 6.5 that we have here. And we do it a little bit different, or I do it a little bit different. I build it backwards. That's pretty well my life story, doing everything backwards. So, first of all, I'll take the wire, I put the hook on last, that way I don't bleed as much. A lot of times when you build a spinner, they put the hook on first. This spinner maker we have will do that, but I like to put the spinner or the hook on last. So, first of all, we'll start off with like 2 number 4 beads. It's just that I already know what beads goes on for 6.5. Each spinner, you put a different amount of beads. The thing is to balance. Start small, go big, and then back small. So we'll start with a couple of 4. Then we'll put a 6 on. Then we'll go a number 8. Then we'll put some color in this thing, contrast, which is very, very important. Another. So that's basically our contrast. The tubing will go over these 2 4s over the 2 number 4 beads. That's basically the beads that we'll be showing. Next thing we'll put on, which is very important, is a bearing bead. We use a solid brass bearing bead. We don't run the clevis against plastic. I like to put it against a small solid brass bearing bead. Pick out a clevis. Don't drop it. And another thing that I like, I put a lot of times people wonder why I put a little bead up on top. That's usually black. This top bead has nothing to do with the spinner whatsoever at all mechanically. But it has a lot to do with contrast from where, if that fish happened to be viewing it. And I don't know if you can see it, if you can see the top of that blade or not, turn without the bead. But you drop the bead down and turn it, and it's just more contrast. That's all. That's the only reason it's there. Proper spacing is that the tip of the blade winds up as near as you can get it to the center of the eye of the hook. That's what you try and get. That's why you put more or less beads up here to achieve that. The next thing I'm doing is sizing my wire. I have a mark here, and it presets how many wraps I'll get. Also for consistency in the space between the top bead and your eyelet is always the same. So I'm never afraid to take one spinner, if it's damaged, put it aside, grab another one identical, and fish it. I don't go along with 3 good spinners out of 10. I don't go along. If you make them precision, don't hesitate about changing them out. And next we'll just twist her here real quick. There you go. You got a 6.5 GDS fish catching spinner, except for putting on the finished product. We can go red or orange tubing. I think I cut these a little bit too short. Yeah, maybe not. Like I say, don't drop it. We also have an assembly loop that makes life a lot easier sliding this tubing off and on. It's a water base, it dries and falls off, but without it, it's like trying to push a rope up a hill. It's hard to do. But with a little lube, it's really easy. The next thing that we do is GDF does is different than a lot of spinner manufacturers. We attach our hook to the wire with a split ring. And I caution you on split rings. If you buy split rings, make sure they have a poundage rating. If they don't have a poundage rating, don't buy them. And the reason for this split ring here is two reasons. I'll show you as soon as I get it on there. Slide your tubing down. Where you want it, and then that lube will fall off and it'll stay on. Okay, the reason for the split ring is two. The first reason is that you can change and do maintenance on your hook. And these fish do tear up these hooks. We also step on them, we break them with pliers, and instead of throwing the spinner away, we can change the hook. But the real reason that I put the split ring there is because it's like a universal joint. You're taking leverage away from the fish, and if you keep track of how many fish you get up to the boat and you lose, or how many you get in the net and keep, you'll find that the split ring makes a difference. Because what happens is that if the hook is fastened directly on the wire, it can go over, and if that fish turns and rolls and dives, you're going to naturally pull on your pole. You can actually just twist this right out of their mouth. Everything has to be in place for that to happen, but it does happen. It's like you take a quick fish, and a lot of us, one of the first things we'll do is take the hook off and put a swivel on. Because a quick fish has, from the factory, the leverage, the fish has a big advantage on spitting that hook. And we put that split ring, we put that clevis on there to take some of that and free that up so the fish doesn't have the leverage. So tip the hooks right in the middle of the eye, lucked out on that one, and that will catch fall fish.